The final moments of Yahya Sinwar's life captured on an Israeli military drone's camera. The Hamas leader is visibly wounded. Israeli troops who don't yet know Sinwar is the man in the headscarf have surrounded him, and he is about to be killed. But how? After an initial exchange of gunfire, the Israeli military says this tank fired on the building and has suggested this is how Sinwar was killed. But at Israel's National Forensic Institute, the doctor who conducted the autopsy on Sinwar's body has drawn a very different conclusion.
The cause of death is gunshot wound in the head. He has a bullet in his head and there is a severe traumatic brain injury. He has injury from other sources like a missile injury in his right forearm, a fallen masonry on his left leg or thigh, and many shrapnels that entered his body, but only in the chest they caused the severe damage. But the cause of death is the gunshot wound in the head.
Asked for comment, an Israeli military spokesman told CNN they are still working to learn all the details of how Sinwar was killed. Kugel said he is confident in his analysis.
We see the bullet in his head, and there is no another entrance.
He was also involved in the DNA analysis that confirmed the body recovered by Israeli troops was in fact Sinwar's.
They have a suspicion that this is Yahya Sinwar, and they sent a sample, a finger, that they cut from his body in order to make the DNA profile.
Sinwar's left index finger, cut off of Sinwar's body in Gaza, delivered to Dr. Kugel's lab and confirmed to be a DNA match. This is where Sinwar was killed, in the Tal al-Sultan area of Rafah in southern Gaza. CNN has geolocated this as the building where Sinwar met his end, in an area empty of civilians and ravaged by war in recent months. In this video from the scene, emaciated buildings line a street torn up by tanks as Sinwar's body lies in the rubble. That body has now been taken to an undisclosed military site.
It's in the military hands. I don't know exactly where is the place.
While the Israeli government decides what to do with Sinwar's body, his final moments are being seen very differently. While some see a terrorist brought to his knees,
Sinwar died while beaten, persecuted, and on the run. He didn't die as a commander, but as someone who only cared for himself.
Others see a resistance fighter making his last stand.
This image will make him look like a hero for most Palestinians and most Arabs and most people who are against Israeli occupation and against the oppression that Palestinians are subjected to.
In the end, he lay dead, surrounded by the rubble of a war he helped unleash.
Feared and feted at home in Gaza. Universally reviled by Israelis, Yahya Sinwar became the Jewish state's enemy number one for his leading role in Hamas's brutal October 7th slaughter of almost 1,200 people in Israel, triggering Israel's killing of tens of thousands of Palestinians. The IDF dubbed him a dead man walking, but university-educated Sinwar persistently outsmarted his enemies.
When I was talking to him, he always insisted that we speak Hebrew and not Arabic.
Israeli journalist Ehud Yari interviewed Sinwar 4 times during the terror leader's 22 years in Israeli jail. Yari saw Sinwar's rise to prison leader, but learnt no secrets.
He's charismatic, he's shrewd, he's very cunning.
Palestinian Esmat Mansour spent years in jail with the man who would become Hamas's Gaza leader.
He constantly follows the security changes and developments in the Israeli security structure.
Sinwar's entry to Hamas was through internal security, convicted of playing a role in the killing of 2 Israelis and 4 suspect Palestinian informants.
He's also a cruel person. Not violent, but he's capable of cruelty, but within careful political calculations.
Born in a Gaza refugee camp to parents who'd fled their home in what is now Israel in 1948, following the Jewish state's creation. His cause was to reverse his people's expulsion from their land. By the time of his release in 2011, Sinwar had spent 22 years in jail. His freedom was a seminal moment, traded with more than 1,000 other Palestinian prisoners for just one IDF soldier, Gilad Shalit, snatched 5 years earlier. It was an object lesson for Sinwar, but he had emerged to a changed reality. Gaza, now cut off from the world by Israel's blockade. Rising to become Hamas's overall leader in Gaza, he worked to reverse those setbacks.
Harming Al-Aqsa or Jerusalem means a religious war, and we will not hold back. We as Palestinians, as well as Arabs and Muslims, are fully prepared and will not hesitate to defend our rights.
It was an uneven fight, Israel always with the upper hand. He counted on Iran to help.
Iran has supported us with finance, arms and expertise.
Yet he indicated his stance on Israel could be softening. In 2018, telling an Italian journalist he saw, quote, an opportunity for change and, quote, a new war is in no one's interests. He stepped up diplomacy with Egypt and Qatar, his interlocutors to Israel, making sure his cause had a broad Arab alliance.
I say to the leaders of Arab and Islamic countries, there has to be a strategic change in your path. It is ending normalization, closing the embassies, and supporting the resistance.
During fighting in 2021, the IDF bombed his house. A week later, at a rare press conference, he goaded the IDF to take a second shot, saying he would walk home. He didn't hide, and neither did his fighters ahead of their October 7th attack. Their training in plain sight, like Sinwar's comments, misread by the IDF, opening the door to a war that has become his legacy. Israel's response resulted in the unparalleled killing of tens of thousands of Palestinians and the destruction of Gaza. Internationally, it raised a previously unseen potent pro-Palestinian lobby. If that was Sinwar's strategy, it was succeeding, but at great cost. Ultimately, he will be judged in Gaza. Does anger at the destruction Hamas triggered fade faster than the hatred at Israel for doing it?